Welcome to the Imperfect Dads Podcast. This is your host, Devin. We believe dads care deeply about their family and kids, but they don't always have a space to discuss what their life looks like. Our podcast is a space for dads to discuss the ups and downs of fatherhood and how they feel like they're holding it together or how they're not. Thank you for joining us for this episode. On this episode, we have a musician, Justin Roberts. We talked about learning about baseball because his son loves baseball, his experiences as an older dad, how he ended up in Chicago, life in Chicago, using experiences with his son and his songs, listening to music on vinyl, some stories behind the songs on his new album Brainfreeze, and his process for recording music. Justin just released a new album called Brainfreeze this year. Make sure to find it on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you find your music. And also just like one more thing.
Dad, just start the episode.
Oh, my bad. Justin, welcome to an episode of The Imperfect Dads. We really appreciate you coming on.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and so normally, first easy question to ask a dad is, how many kids do you have, ages, all that good stuff?
I have one kid, aged 6, about to turn 7.
Okay. Does he remind you that he's about to be 7 all the time? Is that because I feel like my kids, whenever they're about to be their birthday, they're like, I'm about to be this age.
Yeah, he definitely is ready to be 7. I guess years seem longer when you're younger. I think they go more quickly as you age.
I think so too. My 3-year-old turns 4 in September, and he's very much like, well, I'm about to be 4. We're going to have a train party. He's like already plotted out every detail of his birthday party that my wife and I have not bought anything for, haven't scheduled, like we haven't done any of the planning for it. But in his head, that train birthday party is ready to go the second his birthday shows up.
I love it.
I mean, I also love kids being excited about their birthday because I always just want to be like, what do you think is different when you turn 7? Which is way too like not a good question to ask a kid, but like, what do you think your son is excited about for being 7?
Wow. I haven't even asked him, so I don't have a snappy answer for that. I think he's most excited about the theme of his party, which these days has turned into a giant baseball obsession.
Okay.
So I'm sure the only reason he's thought about his birthday is because he wants to do something baseball themed. And it's in October, so
Okay.
it could be a good time for baseball.
Which baseball team do you lean towards or do you follow?
He's currently a Cubs fan. He did start off as a New York Yankees fan because the very first game he ever saw was a playoff game last fall, and he just got hooked on the Yankees for a while, but he's gradually been weaned off that. And now he's a Chicago Cubs fan, and he also likes the White Sox, which I'm good with. It's fun to support both your local teams.
Do you guys live in the Chicago area?
We do, yeah. Not too far from Wrigley, and not far from White Sox Stadium either.
Nice. Have you taken him to a game at Wrigley yet?
Yes, we've gone to games at both so far, and it's been. This is like a very new thing, but when he saw baseball, it was like he was hooked on it. And I'm not a baseball person. I'm not even a sports person at all. So it's been like a very interesting. I mean, I've followed the Cubs in 2016, and like I've gone to games, and I know how some of the rules, but I've never followed stats of players and things like that. And now that's what we're doing. So it's been interesting. We've gone into that geeky numbers level of baseball.
Yes, I live in like the Denver suburbs, and
Cool.
The Rockies are like, I think I have 3 kids, so family of 5, and you can usually find tickets where all 5 of us can go for less than $100.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And see people hit lots of home runs because of the thin air, which is pretty cool. That's some science I did not know about until I was reading about baseball.
Yeah, or like I think up until recently, the longest field goal in the NFL was at Empower Field because of the thin air.
Cool. Yeah, that's so wild.
Yeah, I'm not going to go on that many sports stats. But yeah, we'll like ride the light rail down there. My kids love public transit for some reason, probably because we only go during the daytime and not at nighttime.
Yeah, totally.
But they like love the whole experience. We go to the game, and like none of us are that invested in like the outcome of the game. So if it's like everyone seems bored, it's like, cool, we'll just get on the train and go back home. And like, I don't care about baseball. Like I've never I will casually keep track of it in October. But yeah, same. If they're like, what does this mean? I'm like, I actually don't know.
But now I know the standings really well because Eli will tell me exactly where everyone is.
Yes.
But the one thing I'll say about the Rockies is he does tend to root for any of the teams that don't do well as well.
That's nice of him.
Yeah, so he's into like the Rockies and the A's and the White Sox and like teams that are near the bottom of their respective area. But
yes.
But let's not talk baseball because I don't know enough about it.
You're good. Yeah.
That's about all I can do.
No, but it is. I feel like I have 2 daughters and a son. My daughters are 9 and 7, and just to speak to that a little bit, I feel like my daughters are getting into like book series and stuff like that I would have never have read. I don't even vaguely care about, but it's their entire world, so I'm going to learn about them. Like
exactly.
My daughters are into like a book series called Wings of Fire, which also has like a graphic novel interpretation of it, and I'm like, I know I can't get the books away from them long enough for me to read them. Because they're so obsessed with them. But I'm like, they keep, because like your kid will walk up to you and say like a name or something like that. And you're like, is this a friend at school or is this a character in a book? I don't actually know.
Yeah, no. And I kind of like how you have to gain a certain bit of knowledge about whatever your kid's into if you want to like have conversations with them about it. And it just turns me into a sports fan, which is a funny thing. Like having a kid has turned me into a real baseball fan.
That's right.
And I am invested now.
Yeah. So. Right, because you watched your kid. I mean, like similar if my wife gets super into something, or like if there's a book that moves her, I'm like, I should probably read this book just so I can understand their headspace. And like, I would want the same if I like listen to a new album and I'm like, this album made me cry, and someone's like, sounds good, I don't care. I'd be like, that right, that hurts. I don't like hearing that.
That's so funny.
Have you always lived in Chicago area?
No, I'm originally from Iowa.
Okay,
from Des Moines, and I went to college at Kenyon College in Ohio, and then I played in a band in college, and we moved to Minneapolis. It's been all Midwestern cities.
Okay.
But I've lived in Chicago over, almost 30 years, 25 years or something like that. I came here to go to graduate school and lived on the South Side and then just stayed because I liked the city, and it's been a great place.
Yeah, I'm from Southern Indiana, so Evansville.
Cool. Yeah.
And like Chicago was the big city. Like we would go, because I think it was like a 6-hour drive. So it'd be like, hey, we're going to go there to go like a blues festival or like go see a show like the House of Blues or something. So to me, like Chicago is one of my favorite major cities. I love Chicago. I think it's awesome.
It's a very approachable city. And like you were talking about taking the train, like we can take the train from where we are right down to Wrigley. And it takes a while, but that's so much of the experience is just like that coming into the city like that and not having a car and being able to manipulate the city that way is great.
Yep. My wife, the first time she saw Chicago, she ran the Chicago Marathon back in like 2012, which I mean, you're running on like Michigan, you're running on all the major streets and like across the river. And she was just like, I was like, this is not how downtown Chicago ever looks. This is always like, this is really cool. This was your first ability to see Chicago. This is the most unique way to see a city possible. And
you start to understand how everything's connected because you're moving in very fast for running, but slow for usual moving through space.
Yes. Do you guys get into downtown Chicago that much? Like I know the Lincoln Park Zoo is free. Have you guys gone to Lincoln Park Zoo that much?
Yeah, we've gone a few times to Lincoln Park Zoo. He hasn't, like the zoo hasn't really like grabbed him like other things.
Okay.
He likes it, but he likes the carousel more than he likes seeing the animals for some reason.
Oh man, well, it's good.
But we go down. He did get into a like extreme miniature golf obsession for a while, and so we've gone like downtown. They have a miniature golf course around Navy Pier and in that area, like where Millennium Park is.
Yeah.
And so we go down there. We've gone down there a bunch, and we get to experience the city a lot. I mean, we don't live too far from the line, so yeah.
Nice. I still have yet to go to the Shed Aquarium. It's kind of funny now to have like 3 kids and to think of like going back in Chicago or a big city and being like, let's go to the aquarium. I'm like, you have to pay for 5 tickets now. And I'm like, this better be a good experience.
Yeah, totally. I mean, baseball is like that for sure. Mm-hmm. And I mean, unless you're lucky and you live in a town where you can get 5 tickets for that price.
But have you had that much? That's a newer thing for me to experience of whenever we go to do something and like you do like the mental evaluation of finances in your head of like this, if we're going to go to a Cubs game and I'm going to drop $100-$150 on this game, this better be a good time. And now I understand my parents' dissatisfaction with events a lot differently.
But I don't know, once I could see that Eli would not only pay attention to the game the whole time, but he was into it. Like, I'm like, oh, this is fun. And it's a great way to spend time together. And we're like talking the whole time about what's happening on the field. And, it's a cool experience.
That's awesome. since you live in Chicago, here's a very specific Chicago question. Have you played the kids stage at Lollapalooza, or do they still do the kids stage at Lollapalooza?
Not only have I played it, but I'm playing it in like a week or so.
2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks, whenever that is. It might be next week. A
My
week
gosh.
from Thursday, I think, is when it is. We're doing, Thursday and Friday. It's the third time we've done it.
Okay.
And I just found this old Lollapalooza shirt from 2008
Okay.
when we did it, I think the first time. And it was crazy to see the bands they had on there, both like the main stage and the kids stage. Just like really fun. Walk back in time and be like, wow, they had all these people. This is crazy. It was just like an insane combination of people, as it is now. But it's like I'm probably less connected to all of the stuff that's playing than I was at a time. But
that
happens.
Usually. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm 38 and I already feel that way of like, I look at like a festival or like Bonnaroo or Lollapalooza and I'm like, who are the headliners? And I'm like, I know the headliner, but the three bands that play in front of them, I know that name exists and that's good. So there's that.
Yeah. But it should be really fun. It's a great way to be at the festival because I'm not good with lots of people.
Okay.
And you can sort of go to different stages and be sort of behind the scenes and not have to walk through large crowds and all of that.
Yeah.
Which for me, I prefer a small show at a venue if I'm going to go see music,
Yep. I did Lollapalooza once back in like 2006. And that's how I even know they have a kids stage and stuff. And I think that's whenever I realized music festivals aren't for me because I'd rather just go see the band as the headliner as opposed to see like a band do a 1 hour set at like 5 p.m. whenever I want them to do like a 2 hour set. I was like, it's a good way to see a lot of bands, see a lot of music, which is really fun. But like, I'd rather just have my favorite band play like an hour and a half and enjoy every song. That'd be better.
It's also exhausting, I feel like, on your ears and everything.
Yep.
It's for some people.
Yeah.
When you're younger, maybe it's like the best thing in the world. But
I remember especially Lollapalooza being like, you're in downtown Chicago. It's August. Like you're standing on blacktop. It's freaking hot.
Yeah.
Like the best benefit of Lollapalooza to me was if you got tired, you would just go walk around downtown Chicago, then come back. Like, and I'm like,
yeah, totally.
That's not awful.
No, and it's beautiful where you are in Grand Park and everything. So
it is. If I can ask about like crowd sizes and stuff, do you, whenever you walk through like a big crowd, has that always been part of you? Or is that more like since you became a dad that you kind of have anxiety about like being in bigger crowds?
It's always been a part of me, but I think the pandemic stuff, I find myself more hyper aware of it than I ever was before. It's just, I just learned to adapt to not wanting to be around a lot of people breathing, I think.
Yes.
I haven't quite got over it, but I mean, now I go out and see plays again and things like that. But, when it's just tons of people packed into a space, like we went and saw Nick Cave a couple months ago and, it was a sold out show and it's amazing. But I was also like, oh, there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad I'm not up there. I don't think even though I'd like to be close to it, I don't want to be packed in with a whole bunch of people.
Yeah. I remember that because like, I used to live in Nashville, just moved out to Denver last year.
Cool.
And went to see like Red Hot Chili Peppers at like Nissan Stadium, which is, like the football stadium. And I think that would have been like 2021 or 2022 with like friends from high school and stuff. And the entire time standing there was like, I don't remember how to be around 30,000 people anymore. Like this used to be like, totally. I'm going to bump into people. It'll be fine. But now I'm just like 6 months ago, I thought I was going to die if I was in this scenario.
Exactly right.
And now I'm choosing it.
Yeah. And I sometimes think, I'm amazed that everyone doesn't feel this way. And maybe a lot of people do, but I think a lot of people are just like, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Well, I mean, then I look at the amount of like empty beer cans or like the plastic cups in someone's hand and I'm like, is that to enjoy the show or to ignore your social anxiety?
Right, exactly.
Which one is it?
I love it.
I'm not sure which one came first.
Exactly. That's great.
So besides going to baseball games and stuff, you've been doing like kids music for, how long have you had a career as a musician specifically in like the kid music sphere?
Yeah. So in the kids music sphere, I mean, I started actually working at a preschool in the early 90s, which is how I started writing songs for kids. I was playing in a band at night and working in a preschool during the day. But it wasn't until '87 that I had a group of songs that a friend of mine heard I almost sent these kid songs to my 20-year-old friends as a joke.
Yeah.
And they all love them, but like this friend that I'd worked with before in music heard it and was like, oh man, we got to record these. And so we went to a studio in Chicago and recorded the first album. And then I went off to graduate school thinking I would never do anything with it. I wasn't planning on being a kids musician. I just had these kid songs that I thought were funny. And it's like, hey, let's just record these. And the record kind of took off on its own. So in 2000, I made the next record. And in 2001 was when I like quit my day job and started being a kids musician. And now Brainfreeze is like my 17th album, if you count the musical and a couple other things that I've done in there.
Do you just casually say that you wrote a musical?
Yeah, well, I did. But yeah, that was in 2012, I think.
Okay.
I got approached to write a musical, and it was super fun. I mean, I enjoyed musicals as a kid. Like, I don't think I'm like deeply into musicals, but I'm into them enough to kind of know what they're like. And it was really fun to like take on that persona and be like writing for all these other characters and writing in that kind of style of musical theater and having kind of a different way to write. It was really, and writing for other voices, knowing like I could write melodies that I couldn't sing well.
But yeah,
you know, I'm like, but a musical theater person could like hold this note perfectly for a long phrase. I can't do that.
You're like, they're a real singer.
Exactly. So they took lessons on how to sing.
They didn't. Yeah. That's how I grew up listening to all like the pop punk bands and stuff like that. And it's always funny to be like, these guys aren't like, none of them are classically trained singers. They're people just started screaming into a microphone. Yeah. And now they're like in their 40s trying to sing songs they wrote whenever they're 18 or 20. And they're just like, yeah, I can't. You guys are going to have to take this note. I can't. I can't take that note anymore.
Yeah. But that's true of everybody. I mean,
yeah, right.
You see a lot of musicians as they get older, they start taking their stuff down a half step or a whole step and playing it. But yeah, the pop punk singers can sing though. They got great melodies. So like
they do.
A cool thing. Yeah.
My wife and I always had funny conversations whenever we first got married because I was always like, I don't really like musicals. I'm not into musicals. And then she'd be like, tell me about this album. I'm like, oh, well, there's a theme throughout the entire album. There's characters.
That's
there's
great.
Characters.
You're like, and you're just like suddenly I'm listening to musical theater. Like I didn't even know.
No. This one December's album, it starts, it plays this note, and my wife was like, yeah, they're setting the theme. They're setting the musical theme for the entire album. And I'm like,
okay, maybe I do.
Okay. All right, fine. If they say it through a more nasally voice, I like musicals.
Exactly right. They're too professionally trained. Then
yeah. Then I'm like, oh, I can't respect this.
Exactly.
What are some of your favorite musicals, or whenever you think of a musical, like which ones come to mind?
Well, I mean, I think of my childhood, the musicals I listened to when I was a kid, and I was very into Oliver.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, so like that's a really old school one, but I liked that movie when I was a kid. You know, I think I probably saw Annie when I was young too. These are all orphan musicals. There's a lot of orphan musicals.
Do you have parents? Let me start. Do you have parents?
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
I do.
Okay.
But I felt like an orphan, I guess.
There you go. Yeah.
But more recently, as a kid, I listened to musicals here and there. And then as an adult, I sort of got reintroduced to it. And a friend took me to see a Sondheim musical. And I was like blown away by how cool the music was and how weird and all of that. So I saw Sweeney Todd at the Lyric Opera in Chicago, and it was crazy good. And so then I started getting into that stuff a lot. But in general, I'm not someone who sits down and listens to musical theater regularly, but I can appreciate it.
Yeah. I have to be in a specific mood. Like,
totally.
I think Les Mis is my favorite one, but that's just because I enjoy sad things, so it makes sense.
Yeah, there we go. Me too.
Yes. So that's one where like I will randomly sing, I forget what the line is from One Day More, but it's like another day of him not caring. Like if my kids ask for things and I keep saying no, I'll just be like, one more day of him not caring. And they're like,
that's amazing.
And they're like, what are you saying? And I'm like, oh, it's a very obscure reference for a thing that you probably don't want to watch anytime soon.
Right. So, but I'm feeling it.
But I'm embodying this character right now.
Exactly.
Do you make up songs around the house with your son?
We do. Like a funny thing that happened, I did this fundraiser for Brainfreeze, and for the promo video, I had this idea. My drummer is a really funny guy, and he'd done some of the other videos with me as the owner of the label. And he's kind of a slimy sleazeball.
Yeah.
And so I had him do this one where I was calling him to see if he wanted to make another record with me. And he was like, we're using AI these days. We don't have any use for human beings. And then he starts like here, listen to this. Here's a song about being special. And then like he plays this really annoying AI song. And I made all the AI songs for the video and just made them all have the same melody and totally absurd. And they ended and they made no sense. And I just made it as a joke. And then Eli was like, really liked those little short songs. And so he and I started making AI songs together where we were just making really silly songs with silly rhymes that lasted about 10 seconds.
10 seconds. That's awesome.
All had the same melody. So we did that.
That's fun. Do you feel like music or creativity is at a good connection point between you and your son?
It is, yeah. I mean, both my wife and I are musicians. My wife's a classical cellist. And I feel like in a lot of ways, he likes music a lot, but he leans towards what he leans towards, which is sometimes more like numbers and like scientific things and stuff like that. And he's, we sort of follow him whatever he's interested in. And music, he takes piano lessons, but I wouldn't say like, he wants to practice all the time like he likes it enough. But I think, you just sort of watch your kid and see what they gravitate towards and kind of go with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if he seems more analytical, then it's like, oh, cool. Baseball numbers are everyone here. Cool.
Exactly.
Let's just follow this thread. And, I
will say I do discuss songs with him as I'm writing them and like bounce them off him. And like, if he really likes something, I'm always like, oh, that's good. Like, I never had this kind of market research in my own home before as a kid's musician because I didn't have kids until I was older. But that's been really fun because I also see things happening with him, and then I think about writing a song about that, from watching him go through something, and that can be a powerful way to just come up with ideas, but also talk about them. Like the song Fire Breathing Dragon that's off the new record that's all about getting mad, is partly just like me watching him deal with anger, which we all deal with, and like kind of unexpectedly shows up at certain times, and then just trying to think of how to talk about anger with him, and wrote the song about that. So I don't know, things like that.
Yeah. I feel like actually, since I have the two girls and the son, I'd listened to that song and I was like watching the girls' reaction to it the entire time, and they were kind of zoning out, but I was like, hey guys, do you hear this song is mostly about how you might think your brother's being a dragon, but actually might just need a hug.
Yeah, exactly right.
Because he's really pissed. No, that can't be the lesson here.
Exactly.
I feel like from listening to your music, you do have like or at least from what I listened to it of it, I don't feel like you go so much the silly route so much as like the storytelling route. Do you feel like you do more storytelling or more like silliness to it?
I mean, I don't think I do like total silliness. I do care about stories. I like characters. Like, I mean, when I'm writing, I don't really have an idea of what I'm going to write about or how it's going to work out. Or when I started writing Fire Breathing Dragon, I didn't have any idea that, there'd be a mom saying, underneath all the mad is sadness and all this stuff. Yeah. It just sort of came out. I got to a point in the story. I'm like, what am I going to do now? And, I just sort of let the story go where it goes. And that's part of what's fun for me writing. That being said, like, I don't know, the song All I Want to Do Is Rock, Paper, Scissors is totally silly. And, that came out of a silly place, and it makes me laugh because it's absurd. There's like all these vocal parts happening at the same time that almost don't work together. And, it's chaotic and crazy.
Yeah.
But it made us laugh in the studio. And so there's that kind of silliness on the record. But I mean, the thing I learned writing songs for kids way back in the 2000s was just how you could write about anything because kids are really smart, beautiful human beings who have sadness and happiness and all these kinds of things. And they deal with the same kinds of emotions that we're dealing with as adults. And so I just try to write stuff that I respond to as an adult. Like either it makes me laugh or it makes me feel something or it has a hook that I like, and I put it out and then I see what people respond to.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you make kids music because I'm stuck in a world of listening to like Disney pop music. So to then switch over to your album, I'm like, oh, thank God. There's like an acoustic guitar and like there's a reasonable like lead guitar part in the background that I can connect to. That's great.
Exactly right. Yeah, that's pretty much how I even got started. I was in this preschool and I was playing, Itsy Bitsy Spider and things like that. But I just started thinking like, I bet they'd like this Sam Cooke song or they'd like this Ramones song if it's not inappropriate lyrically.
Yeah.
And they did. And they're like, it's fun. So like, then you just start playing different things. And then I started writing stuff and just making things that I liked and seeing if the kids would like it. that kind of angle. Yeah.
That's cool. How's like the business side of being a children's musician? Like, do you tour a lot? Like, how do you act? Like, do you go on the road? Like, what's your day-to-day life look
I mean, it's different than any other kind of musical touring. We do perform a lot. I mean, I do everything from local solo libraries to, playing with a 5-piece band in a performing arts center. So, but when we go on tour, like a couple weeks ago, we were in Vegas playing at this performing arts center that's located in a library. And it was a 4-piece band. We all flew out the night before, rented a car, stayed in a hotel, drove to the venue, played a show at 11 a.m. and a show at 4 p.m., drove back to the hotel the next morning, got up and flew back.
Okay.
So it's not like we go out for a month at a time. And even when we're most busy, it's still weekends primarily, or busting school shows for kids during the week. But we're never gone for weeks at a time. Yeah. Which is good and bad, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's so different than we've been lucky enough to talk to a lot of touring musicians, and their job doesn't start until 9 p.m. for a lot of them. So for you to be like, all right, it's 6 p.m., I'm going to get dinner and be done for the night. Oh, that's much more sustainable.
No. And I mean, for the longest time, I've had people everyone in my band plays in other groups too.
Yeah.
And a lot of them toured, in more traditional, like going out for 2 months touring and playing in bars. And I think everyone who got to experience what we do was like, this is amazing. We're done at 4 p.m. We can just relax. And then, we have to get up in the morning, but that's not that.
It's fine. Yeah. I feel like I've seen more bands like Jason Isbell or Dawes will do like an evening in which it's just them. There's no opener and the show starts at 7.
And they want to get out of there. Yeah, exactly.
So by
I'm
9,
okay with that
done.
too, though.
Yes. That's the next wave of music I'm waiting for, is whenever all the musicians are like, hey, you guys are cool with getting home and going to bed by 11 p.m., right?
Yeah, exactly.
We can all agree this is what we all want, right?
Yeah. I mean, I remember when all my friends' bands, that were playing at clubs and things like that, they started headlining and then being like, yeah, we're headlining, but we don't want the headlining spot because we want the 10 o'clock, 10:30 spot instead of the 11:30 spot because it gets really late.
It does. And as you get older and if your friends start having kids, I wouldn't expect someone to come out to something at 11:30 p.m.
Yeah,
and watch
exactly.
me play a set. They're not going to do that.
No, it's going to ruin their whole week.
It does. That's a thing of getting older. I didn't anticipate to be so true of hey, you only got 5 hours of sleep this night. Okay, what about the next night? I was trying to make up for it and nothing made anything better.
No, exactly. That is the hardest part to adapt to.
It is. How was, you said you had your son older in life. How old were you when you had your son?
I was 49 or 50, I think.
Okay.
In between there, yeah.
How'd you deal with I had my kids at 25, 28, and 34. Sleep deprivation was painful at that age. How was it being a little bit older?
Yeah, what am I saying? 48. I'm thinking this is the problem, is my math skills.
Yeah.
I found in some ways, because, it's not like this career is a relaxing sort of career because it's making it up as you go, and it's not, you don't have health insurance.
Yes.
Regular checks and all that.
401k.
But I've been doing it long enough that I had a certain sense of how to make a living, and I felt comfortable in my career. So that I think that is an advantage of being an older dad that maybe you wouldn't have if you were in your 20s having kids. But having kids and realizing how much energy it takes, I'm like, oh, this is definitely made for 20-year-olds. This would be much easier if I was much younger with a lot more energy.
Yes.
But I was going to say, but it's been an incredible experience, and I always imagined having kids, and so it's been incredible to have the experience, and it's so fun. I mean, the whole reason that I even got into kids music was just the experience of this working at a preschool and just realizing 4-year-olds are just a blast to talk to because they're hilarious and fun and they say hilarious things. And it just expands your mind, listening to their new perspective on the world. And so, getting to experience that as Eli's aging and talking more and more and telling me what he's thinking. I just love that.
Yeah.
Seeing the world in a different way.
I think 3 and 4-year-olds are or at least from my experience, are like the prime storytelling years.
Yeah, totally.
In which they just like, you ask them a question and then 20 minutes later, and they're very expressive with their hands.
Yeah,
Like, my son will be like, "But Daddy, do you not see?" It's almost like I've raised an Italian person.
That's amazing.
I'm very Germanic, but like he's over like, "Daddy, did you see in Paw Patrol?" And I'm just like, "You've got full passion."
That's amazing.
And I'm too like, I'm not even listening to what he's saying because I'm just so entertained by his expression of it.
Yeah,
there's such
so great.
like a purity to it that you lose over time that you just want to like capture in some way.
Yeah. You start getting more self-conscious as they get older. And then,
exactly. And it's so hard because like it's so stinking cute.
Yeah.
Like my daughters will be like, want to be like, it's so cute. But I'm like, but if you say that, he'll stop doing it. So how do we have to work together to keep this going?
Keep this going as long as we can. I love it.
Pretty much. Yeah, like energy level when you have little kids. I'm a big fan of like getting eye level with them and like squatting down to be eye level with them. Yeah, I'm glad my kids are getting taller because if like in 5 years from now I had a kid, I don't know if I'd be able to get back up.
Right, exactly. Those things.
Yeah, little things. So tell us about your new album a little bit. Like it already came out, didn't it?
Yeah, it came out in April.
Okay.
Yeah, and I recorded it in Chicago at VSOP Studios where I did the last couple records.
Mm-hmm.
It features primarily the 5-piece band that I play with, which is Liam Davis on electric guitar, Michael Mahler on piano and keys, Gerald Dowd on drums, and Jacqueline Schimmel on bass. And then we augmented that with strings and vibes and whatever crazy things I heard in my head when I was making the demos. And yeah, it's just a collection of songs that I wrote in the last year and a half. Like I said, a lot of the songs were probably inspired by my son. The first song on the record, which is one of the last ones I wrote, is called Party in My Head.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about talking to Eli about daydreaming, which he was just like, thought it was a revelation, like that no one had ever done it before. He was just like, you'll never believe what I'm doing in the morning when you think I'm asleep. I'm imagining all these things in my head and I'm hanging out with, Scooby-Doo characters and like all this stuff that and I was just like, what an amazing idea. Just
That's
like
so cool.
And, he tends to be a little bit like me where you sometimes ask him something and he's off in his brain somewhere, dreaming of something. And so it was fun writing like that kind of a song. And, since this podcast is about dads, the last 2 songs on the record are both about the second to last is about being a dad and the last one's about having a dad. And my father passed away in 20, I think it was cool to be able to reflect on both the ways that he influenced me and the experience that I'm having being a dad now.
Yeah.
With Eli. So there's that. Yeah, but there's a lot of fun, silly, giant, big rock songs. There's a song called Better Day Than Saturday that's kind of a 60s pop song that has like 120 vocal parts on it.
What?
I think, because we recorded everything like 4 times. Like,
why?
And just, I don't know, we just wanted this crazy sound. But yeah, we just had a lot of fun. I mean, it's kind of like all of your absurd dreams of just making something as bombastic as possible is what I was going for in most of this. And
That's
then
awesome.
some sweet songs to balance it off.
Yeah. Do you find yourself, as my kids get older, I do find myself reflecting more on my parents and my parents' experiences. As your son gets older, do you find yourself also reflecting like, what was my dad like whenever I was like this?
Yeah. No, I absolutely do. And it's amazing, like, when you think about which memories stick for you, like the things that just have lasted, and they're just little days. Like, I mean, one of that song, Everything From Here, describes 2 different experiences with my dad that are both memories that I have. And one is like balancing on his feet when I was 3 or something, and he would lay on his back and do that whole thing.
Yeah.
And the other was flying a kite with him, which I actually did, like, I think I was older, like maybe, I don't know, junior high or high school, who knows. But like I went flying a kite with my dad, like at an age where it wasn't like you were a kid and your dad, it was like you were kind of getting to be more of a grown person. And we just had the best day doing it, just like laughed, and we're terrible at it.
It's hard to fly a kite.
It is really hard to fly a kite. When someone does it well, I'm like, that's one of the things. I need to spend more time on YouTube figuring out how to fly a kite.
That's what you'll do after this call.
Exactly. I'm going to master it.
You're even in the Windy City. Come on,
I know,
man.
I should be able to.
It's really sweet because it does make you like reanalyze your own childhood. was talking to another guest where he's like a chef. And whenever he finally has his off days, he wants to be like, okay, I'm with the girls. I need to do these big actions, these big things. And he's like, what about your own dad? Oh, it's all the little things.
Yeah, totally.
It's not the tiny, it's not like you bought me all these toys, you bought me all this stuff. It's like that, hey, remember whenever we were around the house just picking up and like talking about life? And he's like, that's what I remember about my dad. So that's probably what my kids are going to remember about me.
Yeah, totally. And it's just being there. And I think that's the other thing that's with all of the distractions we have now as modern people, it's especially hard, but I think there's something about kids that just bring you back into the moment and kind of force you to be there. And, you know, my wife and I both travel. And so often we're trading off taking care of Eli. And it's such, you know, it feels like an honor when you're just like, I get this time and it's amazing to like talk to this person. And
yeah,
I'm not always that good. Sometimes I'm distracted and like, you know, and I think, oh, why did I check my phone right then? But I have to take care of this one thing.
Yeah.
But it does kind of bring you back in a way that I just like nothing else does for me, like to the present moment, which is what's important.
It is. Yep. And I think that's like if I envy anything about kids it is their ability to be mentally present because their world is, I don't want to use the word small because I don't want that to be like insulting, but like it's so unaware of how big and scary everything can be that I'm just like, I do envy that a little bit because it was so easy to be like listening to music. Now I've got like 20 other things going on in my head. Whenever I was a kid and listened to music, it was the only world that existed.
Oh, I've gotten a little better at doing that again recently. Yeah. I've just been, I mean, especially I listen to vinyl records and that kind of connects me more because the sides run out. I know there's something about it where you can sit for 18 minutes and listen to something, but I've been trying to make more of an effort to like take time just to listen to music. And it's amazing if you like spend your time, you really concentrate all your energy towards it. You hear all the things that the people are doing in the studio and all the magical stuff that's happening. And just like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. Yep. No, I collect vinyl as well. And it is for that purpose of like, it's vinyl takes such an intentionality of like, all right, cool. There's 5 songs on this side. I better pay attention before I come and flip it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to just putting something on Spotify on my phone and like whatever.
Yeah, it feels just so much disconnected for some reason.
Yep.
And if someone like recommends something and I like add it, I just lose it in my you know, it's not sitting in front of me like on the table. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's weird, but
or like it's a different like the last Bon Iver album. Whenever it came out, I intentionally didn't listen to any of the singles. So whenever I bought it on vinyl, the first time listening to it,
you'd hear the whole thing
on that. Yeah, but it's different.
Yeah,
but also a lot of intentionality. I was in a record store. I was like, oh, the new Bon Iver album's in front of me. Yeah, you should buy it. You haven't listened to it, and you know you'll love this album. Go home, like get that experience, which was also a lot of childhood going to a record store, something like that, buying a CD, press and play, and not knowing what journey you're about to go on.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot about that when I'm making albums. That I like to the track order matters to me a lot. I know that, like people are just listening to singles and things anymore, but like I love that journey. And like when I'm making a record, I often like am writing the stuff while I'm making it because I'm like, oh, I don't quite have a song to like wake the album up right here, and you know, and then bring it back down. And you know, I think about that just because I like albums like that where you can listen to the whole thing and kind of be brought to different places.
Yep. One of my favorite albums is a album called Album of the Year by a band called The Good Life, who's based out of Omaha. The album is 12 songs and it's the journey of a relationship. So it's like how the relationship starts and every song represents a month. And by the end, it's like the relationship has completely fallen apart. But I remember the first time listening to it being like, these all 3 of these songs seem very spring focused. Oh, these 3 songs are the season. So I don't have that creativeness to me to know how to write that, but I sure do know how to appreciate it whenever I find it.
Yeah, I agree. I love when you discover things like that are telling a longer story.
Yep. And once again, that's when my wife was like, so you do like musicals. And I'm like, well, only if they're like super sad, then I'm okay with it. If I can feel the full journey of the heartbreak, then I'm okay with it. Then
exactly.
I'm good. Before we start to wrap up, is there anything else you want to say about your album or anything? I'm
trying to think. I guess, I mean, after having made so many records, I'm always trying to think of how I'm going to make something that is going to seem new to me and not feel like I'm repeating myself. And the thing I really enjoyed about making this record was like discovering a lot of these songs that in some ways I was like, I can't believe I never wrote a song about anger. Or, I saw my wife and son playing rock, paper, scissors, and I was like, oh, I should write a song about that. And then I was taking care of Eli, and I've never come up with a title before the song, but I came up with the idea of all I want to do is rock, and then in parentheses, paper, scissors. And I was like, oh my God, that is so stupid. I have to do that.
Good.
Yeah, that's so good. And so I was taking care of him, and I had thought of the chorus just like a really simple rock, 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 paper, scissors, rock, 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 paper, scissors. And then I was like, oh, and then I could go like scissors, paper, rock, scissors, paper, rock, scissors. And then I could go paper, 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 rock, rock. And I was like, wow, I wonder what all three of those would sound like together. And I wasn't able to like slip away to like work on it because I was taking care of Eli for a couple days. And like once my wife got home, I like went up to my recording studio room and just put it down. And I was like, oh, that's weirder than I thought it was going to be. And it's really fun. And it's been fun just having new material to play live. And I've gotten a lot of great responses to the album, both from longtime fans and people that have never heard of me before. And it's fun to just make new things.
Yeah. I mean, also it's got to be fun to do kids music as a dad because you can lean into bad dad jokes and whatever song you want. So like if you wanted to make really corny jokes, you're already a dad.
This is your chance. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Eli learned to roll his eyes earlier than most children, I think, from the things I say.
That's, yeah.
And he also learned how to say, brother. So he's got it down.
That's so cute, though.
It's pretty amazing.
That's so fun. I love whenever kids I really love expression. And I think children have so much genuine and pure expression to them. That's, as a dad, I'm just trying to figure out how to keep that alive. Whenever you see like the kids' eyes light up and their entire body get into explaining something, I'm like, how do I make sure to be present to this moment? Because last thing I want to do is say something that discourages you or makes you feel like you shouldn't act like this, because there's so much beauty in this moment right now.
Yeah. No, exactly. And yeah, that is the magic of it, I think.
And also the challenge of parenting, because they'll start telling you a story and you're like, I'm cooking dinner, man.
I've got to finish this thing. Like, I got to get this sent off. Yeah, that's the hardest part, I think. But yeah, I mean, I just wish there were more reminders in my life to do that, because I feel like I'm often distracted and somewhere else. And we're only alive once, so we should be
pretty
where
much.
we are. As far as we know.
And and your kid's only that little once. You know, all those cliches where you're like, damn it, this is true.
Yeah. No, we started hearing stories about just kind of like no longer interested and like no longer giving mom a hug or whatever the things are. And I'm just like, that's going to be tough.
It's going to be brutal.
I remember doing the same thing to my parents. So
it's the rite of passage. We all pass on.
Right.
Yeah. It's what, like from age 13 until 23, 24, you don't think your parents are that cool. And then 25, 26, you're like, maybe they weren't so awful. Hold on. Let me rethink this.
That's exactly it.
Anyway, Justin, how we end all of our episodes is we ask every guest a series of 5 questions.
Right.
They aren't rapid fire. You have some time to think about them, and they're pretty fun.
Okay, cool.
First question, did you have any backup names for your son? Like any names you almost named him?
Oh, yeah, we did. We had
did you really?
A really interesting one that we often... So we named him Eli, and not Elijah, but just Eli. And the backup was Elvis. And we had a long discussion about whether we could do that or whether that would be mean to him or like, would it be cool? I don't know. But it was just like, we don't know any people named Elvis. Like, no, why not? So we almost did that. And we told him about that when he was like 3. And for a while, he was like really mad because he wanted to be Elvis.
Because he wanted to be Elvis?
Yeah. But when Eli like first came into the world, I looked at him and I was like, we made the right decision.
Yeah.
He looks like an old man. He looks like an Eli. He looks like he's already 75.
Yeah. He didn't come out of the womb wearing
it was like
pigs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was more
shaking his hips.
Very into like looking at his fingers and pretty intense. And that's an Eli.
I've actually never met any Elvises. Have you ever met any Elvises?
No, and that's why it was also interesting to think about it.
I would just imagine every teacher would be like, Elvis?
Yeah.
Higher voice inflection, like Elvis Roberts?
Right.
This is one of my favorite questions to ask dads or parents in general. What's your least favorite kid show? Like whenever your son wants to watch a TV show, a YouTube channel, anything like that, where you're just like, I cannot stand this. And also, you do kids entertainment stuff, so you could have a very interesting answer for this.
Yes. I would say I'm more often impressed by the things he watches, and I can appreciate them. Like he's into Wild Kratts, that PBS show
which
that
is awesome.
really sciencey and smart and teaches him tons of things. He occasionally watches Gabby's Dollhouse, which is fun. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I haven't seen anything. I mean, as somebody that got into kids stuff as a 20-something, and I was working in a preschool, I mean, this probably isn't cool to say, but like Barney the dinosaur would drive me crazy when I was 22, and the music was annoying, and he was annoying, and he talked like he was being sarcastic the whole time. Like he's just like, okay, kids. I'm like, is he meaning that? It seems like he's like saying it in the opposite way. And I just, I much more appreciated like something like Mr. Rogers, where it's just real straight to the heart, kind of talking directly to kids like they're little adults. And so I'm often more amazed at how well a lot of children's programming is done. So I can't think of anything. And maybe it's just we don't let him watch anything that annoys us too much, maybe partly.
For now.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, we watch a lot of stuff together, and it's been fun to we got deeply into Godzilla movies.
Fantastic.
Because at one point, I think he was kind of scared of Godzilla, like the whole concept of it.
Yeah.
And then he just said, "Dad, is Godzilla good or evil?" And I was like, that is the age-old question.
That's the question,
kind of
man.
what the whole thing is about. And so we watched one of the early but sillier Godzillas, which those are the ones that we watched, were those early ones. But and then we watched all of them and got deeply into the whole mythology, and we're watching Godzilla movies together, and it's like, men in rubber suits wrestling is funny. So I enjoy this. So that experience is cool. And he got deeply into old Scooby-Doo, which I watched Scooby-Doo as a kid, but he watched all the original episodes of Scooby-Doo, and it was funny to see that stuff again. I don't know.
That's cool.
There's a lot of great stuff out there for kids, I think.
There is. But also, even whenever I was a kid.
Give me yours. What is yours that you hate? So I can know.
So I have girls. They've gotten into all the Disney teenager shows.
Okay.
Where they're scripted, there's the laugh track, and none of the jokes are funny. And those are the shows where they're we want to watch this. And I'm just this is so bad. Because even little kid shows like Gabby's Doll, or preschool shows are all education focused. Yeah. So I can respect them. I can like what they're doing, and they're usually teaching creativity or something like that. Whenever it's a sarcastic teenager telling a joke that isn't funny, and then you hear the laugh track and they pause for a joke, and I'm just, there's
that would drive me crazy. Yeah, that is
the elitist in me is just this is a bad joke, and that no one was. You aren't in front of a live studio audience, and we all know this.
Speaking of you reminded me of things that aren't funny, but Eli got into Peanuts, the comic strip, and so we got a collection of I don't know, some year of Peanuts strips, and I would read them to him, and he liked the Snoopy and Woodstock stuff and all that, but oftentimes we'd get to the end of the strip and he'd be like, "Why is that funny?" And I'm like, it's not. I don't know. It's really not funny. Most of this isn't funny. Occasionally it is, but
it's a chuckle. It's maybe
it's not even a chuckle though. Sometimes it's what? Why would they even make that?
Yes,
but it's funny.
I always think of that with older
it's
authors and stuff. Yeah, it's kind of a representation of what was entertaining. I'm a big Lord of the Rings and Tolkien nerd.
Cool.
And I'm whenever the Hobbit movies came out and they made the battle with Smaug, an entire movie, and the war of the five armies, an entire movie. I was this is 3 paragraphs in the book.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Why they
but
do
also
this.
Though, Tolkien, well, he was in World War I. I bet he did not idolize war the way that we idolize war right now. He was just Smaug came, Bard killed him with the arrow. All good.
Yeah,
next.
let's move on. Yeah, right. I don't want to go into this.
I'm not looking for that. But modern times, that's an entire those 3 paragraphs are as a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
So more reflects what entertains the culture at that time. So it helps to learn that. But I remember whenever they were going to do The Hobbit in 3 movies, I was if it's a 9-hour movie, I think you can read The Hobbit in 7 hours if you're focused. So who knows?
Yeah. That's awesome.
But anyway, next question. Do you have a go-to replacement curse word? You stub your toe, Eli's in the room, or do you just say the curse word, which is, not going to lie, the common answer. It is winning.
I was going to say, there's no replacements. There's apologies after. But I'm terrible like that. Yeah.
Listen, I do sound effects. I do more like noises, but no, trust me, you're not alone. Almost every dad is like, was I supposed to have a replacement curse word?
Right, exactly.
Because I don't.
Once you said that, I was like, I don't at all.
I don't.
I'm
Just
not able to stop myself sometimes.
I would just blame that on being an older dad. Just be like,
there
you know
we go.
what?
It's like,
I cursed
everything's
for so many
coming
years,
out.
I can't stop now. Okay. What's like a favorite kid toy or activity that you do with Eli, or like something you do with him besides going to baseball games?
Well, it's funny because I feel like I've just gotten Eli into like the hobbies of a 50-year-old man between all the things we do. Our latest thing is also baseball related, but my friend Gerald, who is a drummer, who is a baseball kid his whole life and is a longtime Boston Red Sox fan, knew that Eli was getting really, really into baseball. And he's like, oh man, you should play this game called Stratomatic, which was invented in 1961. And it's a dice game that is based on player stats. And you literally make your own teams and the lineup based on their stats. And then you roll dice and like it's left righty. It's all like the real players. And so he and I have been playing games of Stratomatic, which has been really fun. And the other old man thing I got him into was pinball. And so he and I play pinball a lot, and we go places and play pinball. And that's been really, really fun.
I would love to own a pinball machine, but the thought of getting it into like a basement and then if something goes wrong with it, how do I find someone to repair it? All this makes me realize I do not actually want to own a pinball machine.
Well, I can tell you, I actually own a pinball machine.
Yes.
And it is in my basement. It's never coming out because the person that I bought it from got it in there somehow, and I have no idea how he did it. However, the thing I learned from the person that turned me on to pinball, like in adult life, I was playing this house concert in San Francisco, and this guy happened to have 6 pinball machines in his basement, and I was staying there as well. And so I got reintroduced to pinball, and he was like, you know, it isn't just like flicking flippers. It's actually like a strategy board game underneath it all, especially modern machines. And so he started explaining the rules, and I'm really into that kind of thing like that. I love anything that has a lot of rules and like games like that. So once I understood it that way, then I just like got so obsessed with it. And the thing about owning a pinball machine, which is something he said to me, is like part of the hobby is learning how to fix it.
Okay.
And so you end up on YouTube a lot. And I mean, I'm like dealing with like, I haven't soldered stuff, but I've like replaced parts and like fixed stuff when the ball's stuck and like you're trying to figure out why it's getting stuck. And and so part of it is just tinkering with things and like getting out your screwdriver and messing with stuff, which is not my skill level, but it's actually really satisfying when you fix it.
That's cool. Have you messed with soldering at all? Because I don't mess with soldering.
I haven't. I mean, I feel like I would do it at some point. Like, you know, I replaced the flippers, which is somewhat complicated thing. And with Eli getting into pinball, we started making, and I will give the credit to my wife on this, but we started making a lot of cardboard pinball machines and trying to figure out how to make things that would like bat a marble around with rubber bands. And you know, you start becoming a lot more skilled at things that you're not necessarily good at with a kid, because you're just like, okay, let's figure out some basic physics of how a ball moves.
Yeah.
We can make a little tool to make it flip and, you know, all those things.
That's cool. I mean, to be also a little more nerdy about pinball, like all of it's very intentional. Like the angle it's at, like everything about it is like very fine tuned in a way in which like once you start to, it's kind of like I've stayed away from watching how like watches are made because I know every part matters and every placement of everything matters. And that's all fascinating to me. But I'm like, I already have enough niche, you know, like hobbies.
Yeah. You're naming all mine though, like anything that involves analog kind of like machinery and all that kind of stuff. I love analog pens. I love like anything that's just like simple and well designed and like does what it does. Yeah. But that, I think, I mean, it's magical. Like you think about just the science of making a silver ball move around on a piece of wood in all these intricate ways.
Yes.
Like that is crazy. The amount of force that it has and how they figure out how to balance it. And then on top of that, there's like sound that goes with it that creates the experience. And when the sound changes, your entire experience changes. And like, that's incredible as well. That's just like a beautiful thing. And then there's lights and the way they put it all together. It's definitely some kind of weird art form.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like,
all right, I'm going to ask you one more nerdy question since you like analog so much.
Yes.
Have you recorded to tape or have you only ever recorded digital?
I have, for the longest time, I'd only recorded to tape, actually, until I think it was Jungle Gym. You know, we would use computers somewhat.
Yeah.
But the early records are 2-inch tape and mixed to 1/4-inch tape.
Yeah.
But eventually we were recording to tape and then mixing digital. And then
bouncing
we showed up at a studio that I was renting, particularly because they had 2-inch tape. And I went down to the south side of Chicago to the last store that was selling 2-inch tape at the time. It was like becoming hard to find. I think since then they started manufacturing it again. And I bought some reels and I went to the studio and we got there and he'd sold the tape machine. So I was like, okay, well, I guess we're not making on tape.
We're done here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I've embraced it. But early on when I played in a band, we recorded digital when it was still in its infancy. And it sounded so, now you can make it sound really beautiful and warm and everything else. But early on, it was very clinical sounding. And yeah, that was, you know, and I still think I like that hissy sound. I mean, I just recently speaking of old analog things, I found all these cassettes that I had in storage and was just like, oh man, I wonder what's on half of these. And I started listening to them and I'm just like, these sound so weird and cool. Like the way a cassette sounds, there's so much hiss, but like, it's, you know, if you're used to it, I think it just brings back memories.
Yep. I went to Belmont University and studied music production.
No way. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so one of my classes was at RCA Studio B, and you did get to record to tape, and you had to like splice it and line it up, and they had actual reverb chambers there, where it's literally a room with a box.
Oh my gosh, amazing! No way.
Yeah. So
I've never seen that. That'd be so cool.
It was really cool. It's also like the only downside to it is knowing I would probably never record in a studio that cool.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Like they have the actual baffles, like nothing's isolated. So like for one of my projects I did, one of my friends just played a banjo and sang like an old gospel hymn. So it's just him standing in the middle of RCA Studio B, no baffles, nothing. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay, I should mic the room. I should do all this. But at the same time, acknowledging, it's like if you ever get to use like a ribbon microphone, it's like, I'm never going to own this. I'm probably never going to find a studio. Like I've tapped out with this one microphone and I sure as hell hope I don't damage it.
No. And that's a lot of the reason why I still do all my recordings in a studio. Thankfully, due to like Kickstarter type campaigns, I'm able to do that. But it's just like you get to use equipment that you could never own. Because unless you had just endless money. But like a really great microphone and a great signal chain, like all that stuff, you can't fake it. I mean, you can make a very nice sounding record. People do it all the time, and they're giant blockbusters on laptops.
Yep.
But there's something about like being in a room with people and having all of the sound in the right place and like going through a certain signal chain. And I don't know, just like, and I love the sounds of good recordings. And so it's fun to try to make them. And wow, that sounds amazing. It's better than I thought it could be. Like,
I'll try not to nerd out on outboard compression gear specifically.
Okay. That's a different podcast.
That's a different podcast. But I'm with you. That whole thing of like, all right, what's my input? What's the chain? How's it get to the end result? What all did I have it flow through? Just as a other side tangent, I'll be intrigued to see if like more albums are recorded live, because so much is done individually. People are just emailing over tracks and stuff, that there is a certain level of like heart that's missing from it. This is also as judgmental as possible. But whenever you hear an album and you then know that it was recorded live and that's just one take, I'm like, I respect it so much more because it's just not commonly found anymore.
Yeah. We did. I mean, our earliest records are like that, and you can definitely hear that it was recorded. Like I joked with Liam, who produced my first record, and a lot of the others, that with Great Big Sun, it's like we recorded it in like a day and a half, and it sounds like it. Like it's like because there's some bad notes because it was just live and everything was happening. But I did that with Lemonade a few years ago, and we had. I don't know if you know Robbie Folks, but he's an amazing country songwriter and bluegrass player. And he played guitar, and my drummer Gerald like played cardboard boxes and like this kind of made up set. And then we had John Abbey on upright. And I was in an ISO booth, but I was performing live. And the three of them were in a room all together, and we just recorded it. And maybe two of the vocals I did separately, but everything else, it was just live. And there's just like there's an energy to that that you're
there's
not going to get when you're doing bass and drums and then layering things on. But when you're laying things on, it's also really fun because you'll be hearing it and you're like, what would be cool is we can add that. And like, and it's just, I don't know. And that part of it can be a blast where you're like, let's add one more vocal part to this. Like, let's just make it even more ABBA than it already is.
That's right. I do get that though, because that's like the downside to digital recording. It's like, but can't we add this? Can't we add this? Can't we add this? And then it's just kind of like, hey man, you can always add more. Just take a breather.
No, and then you listen to like a Buddy Holly record and you're like, oh my gosh, this sounds amazing because there's only 4 things. It's all going straight to tape and it's just, they set the room up right and they recorded it. Everything's big and wide and, there's like,
I mean, just the entire A Day in the Life by the Beatles that was recorded as well, like a 4-track recorder, maybe an 8-track recorder with a full symphony. And I'm just like, this is why this gave Brian Wilson a mental breakdown whenever he did this
totally. Exactly. Oh my God.
Totally get it. Anyway, there's the side tangent for the episode.
I like it.
Last question is there any moment of your son's life you're excited to see him experience or see him accomplish as he continues to grow up?
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the whole thing has been a surprise to me. It's just, I mean, there was like a bit of recognition. I don't know if you had this with your kids, but when I first saw Eli, I was like, oh, that's who this guy is. I kind of knew who he was, but I also was like, he's not me or he's not Anna. He's like his own person and he's a really particular person. And the way that I saw him as an infant has stayed pretty true to the way that he's been in the world. Like, he was just like, had this really intense, looking at his fingers and like manipulating his hands. And I was just like, and he's very much like that. He's like into building little small things and, but I think like just watching who your kids become and letting them be who they are is magical. And so I don't have anything in particular that I'm looking forward to, but I love watching like what he gets into and what he excels at and what he wants to talk about. And, what just like fills his mind with joy. And, he goes to bed talking about something and then he wakes up and just like instantly launches into the same conversation about something else that is related to that. And, so it's fun.
That's awesome. I always think it's funny whenever you're about to have a kid because people are like, oh, what do you think your kid will be like? And like, it's the only time in your life where someone asks you a lot of really intense questions about someone's personality that you've never met before, but also you're fully responsible for them. So that's like a weird thing to wrap your head around. It's like a week of having the kid and someone like politely is like, oh, what's your kid like? And you're like, they stopped screaming. That's, I think my wife was able to latch today.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they're cool. I think they're cool.
Yeah. Like they sleep about 4 hours a night and that's just like been brutal, but
they did not pee on me today.
Exactly.
I don't think that's a personality trait. I think that's just a reality. Okay. Never mind. But no, it's really fun and really cool. But as you get to watch, like, cause I feel like my kids also, whenever they were born, like, one of my favorite things is like how they slept as a baby. If they still sleep like that, like one of my daughters will sleep with her arms over her head or whenever she was a baby and she will as like a 7-year-old. And I'm like, is that just embedded in you? Is that part of your like makeup as a person that like, that's just how you sleep to feel most comfortable? How fascinating.
Yeah, totally. That's amazing.
So, only other thing, it's just a moment for a self-promotion. If we want to like follow you on Instagram, find your music, all that good stuff.
Yep. So you can find me at Justin Roberts Music on Instagram. The website is justinrobertsmusic.com. And on Facebook, it's a little more convoluted. It's Justin Roberts Music, the number 4 kids, if that makes sense. And I don't know how that happened, but whenever they allowed me to name it, I came up with that. Yeah. But, and I have the website and YouTube is Justin Roberts Music as well. They can check out some videos from the latest album, including watching my drummer in a Superman outfit flying on a green screen.
Fantastic.
The keyboardist waves his cape in the air.
That's so good.
That's worth checking it out.
That's good. Yeah, man. Besides that, thanks for spending some time with me. Thanks for taking
really
live.
Nice talking to you. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
And
okay.
I'll see you next time.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, man. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at the Imperfect Dads Podcast, and make sure to subscribe and rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to us, such as Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. The music is provided by The Wild Feathers, and all episodes are produced by me. Make sure to tune in Mondays for new episodes.